Hello everyone, I am CS Vivek Banerjee, and this is the second session on valuation of equity shares. In my previous lecture, I have discussed the various concepts of this valuation of equity shares. Today, I will be taking the assignment questions, and in this process, try to clear your doubts. In this case, if anything you have not understood, will be you can say cleared by this session on valuation of equity shares, the assignment portion. So let us begin this lecture. The first question, the assignment question is in front of you. First, read the question. It says that a company has a book value per share of 137.80. Its return on equity is 15%, and it follows the policy of uh, retaining 60% of its earnings. If the opportunity cost of capital is 18%, what is the price of the share today? The company has a book value. Company has a book value. So book value is also called the net worth. Book value is also called the net worth, and it is also called the equity. It is also called equity. So return on equity 15% is there, book value per share is there. So return on equity means, and book value per share is there. So by this you can calculate the EPS, that is earning per share. And it is also given in the question that the company is retaining 60% of its earning. So if the company is retaining 60% of its earning, it means it is declaring dividend declaring dividend 40% of its earning. So it will be 40% of the EPS, that is dividend per share. So by this, dividend per share can also be calculated. And then we can calculate the price of the shares, because D0 is not given in the question. D0 you have to calculate it. So this is just a brief introduction of the question. And I would also recommend you to read the question very carefully and try to make out that how to solve this question. Then the next process of, you can say, solving the question becomes more easier. This is the solution to question number 1. As I have said that in the question, book value per share is given. As I've just discussed. The book value is also known as, can be called net worth, or it can also be called as equity. Okay. Return on equity is given in the question. Return on equity is given in the question. It is 15%. Return on equity is 15%. So book value per share is given. Book value per share is 137.80. So on this, return will be calculated. EPS will be calculated on this into 15% is equal to, let us calculate it. 137.8 multiplied by 15%. So it is coming to 20.67. It is coming to 20.67. So 20.67 is the earning per share. It is the EPS, that is earning per share. So now that you have understood how earning per share is calculated, so now from earning per share, dividend per share will be calculated. It is given in the question that the company is retaining 60% of its earning. If the company is retaining 60% of its earning, it means it is actually declaring dividend at 40%. So dividend per share is equal to 20.67, which is the EPS, into 40%. is coming to 8.27. Is coming to 8.27. So this dividend per share is 8.27. Now we can put this figure into the formula. In this case, the Gordon's dividend discount model is will be followed, and the formula, you know, that it is P0 is equal to D0 into 1 plus G upon KE minus G. And this formula is used when it is assumed that the company will pay dividend at this rate for a long time to come, or till infinity. So P0, that is the present value of equity share, P0 is equal to D0 multiplied by 1 plus G divided by K minus G. D0 dividend per share we have just calculated, it is 8.27. It will be multiplied by the growth rate. Where the growth rate is given, the growth rate is not given in the question. You have to calculate the growth rate. The growth rate can be calculated. Growth rate can be calculated by this return of equity into retention ratio. Return of equity into retention ratio. Return of equity is 15% multiplied by the retention ratio. It is given in the question, it is 60%. So it will be 0.15 into 0.6. So growth rate is 0.09 or 9%. Growth rate is basically 9%. So you can, without the formula, without even using the formula, you can very well understood this concept of growth rate. That is, whatever the company is retaining out of the profit, it is actually utilizing it in some profitable growth opportunities. So whatever return the company is generating from those growth opportunities, from those projects, is actually the growth rate. So therefore, the retention ratio, whatever the percentage of return, percentage of retention is multiplied by the return on equity, means whatever equity portion. Equity portion is basically, it is, we are assuming that the equity portion means whatever equity has been, you can say, invested in the growth opportunities, and whatever return has been generated from those growth opportunities is multiplied by the retention ratio to calculate the growth rate. So growth rate is coming to 9%. Now we have all the figures, we can put them into the formula. So 8.27 is the D0, dividend per share, 1 plus growth rate. Growth rate is 9%. KE, cost of capital, cost of equity capital is given in the question, in 18%, it is 0.18 minus growth rate. So let us calculate it. 8.27 multiplied by 1.09 divided by 0.09. So it is actually coming to 100 point, is coming to 100.16. Alternatively, you can take this without even apply the growth rate, even apply this, you can take this figure also, 8.27. You can take this 27 directly also. You can take this growth rate as 8.27 directly also, because you can also assume that this dividend is at the end of the period. So Alternatively, alternatively, it can also be calculated as follows. P0 is equal to, it will be 8.27 multiplied by 0.18 minus 0.01. So it will be 91.89. It's coming to 91.89. So you can calculate it by both these methods. You can multiply it by the 1.09 also, or you can directly take 8.27. Because whatever figure has been given in the question, return on equity, so it can be safely assumed that the dividend is at the end of the period. Or you can multiply it by the growth rate also. Both of them is correct. This one is Gordon's model. This one is Gordon's model. Okay. And now it is given in the question that you have to calculate it by Walter's model also. You have to calculate by using the Walter's model also. So in Walter's model, present value of shares is calculated by the simple formula D plus E minus D into multiplied by R upon KE divided by KE. So let us put the you can say figures into the formula. So dividend we have already calculated. It is 8.27 is 8.27 multiplied by E. E is earning per share. Earning per share we have calculated. This earning per share is 20.67. So it will be 20.67 minus 8.27 multiplied by R. R is the rate of return on equity. R is basically the rate of return on equity. So it will be 0.15 R return on equity upon KE, that is, which is cost of capital. It is also given in the question, divided by the cost of capital, R KE. So let us solve this question. So it is basically coming to Plus sign has to be included. 20.67 minus 8.27 multiplied by 0.5 divided by 0.18 plus 8.27. It is coming to 18.60. It's coming to 18.60 divided by 0.18. So 18.60 divided by 0.18, 103.35. 103.35 is the answer according to the Walters model. Basically, students, Walters model and the Gordon's dividend discount model both follow the same approach. That is the infinity approach, means the dividend which has been declared will continue for a long time to come. The basic difference between two is that in case of Walters model, as we have discussed, that when the return on equity, that the return on retained is more than the cost of equity capital, when the return on equity is more than, or you can say vice versa, we'll take it vice versa first. This cost of equity capital is more than the rate of return on equity or rate of return on retained earnings. So it means that the company is a or you can say, to be more precise, the company has not many growth opportunities. And it is preferable to declare dividends. So whenever the cost of equity is more than the rate of retained earnings, so when the company declares more dividend, the value of shares is more. And vice versa is the true. Means if the cost of equity capital is less than the return of equity or rate of return on retained earnings, it means the company is generating more profit it means the company is has profitable growth opportunities and it is retaining its earning. It wants to forgo dividends and it wants to retain its earnings and invest in profitable growth opportunities. So इससे हमारा क्या कंक्लूजन निकलता है कि केई अगर आरओई से ग्रेटर होता है, इसका मतलब अगर इक्विटी कैपिटल हमारा रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी या जो भी हमने रिटेन अर्निंग्स है उसको इन्वेस्ट करने के बाद जो रिटर्न मिला, जो कि रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी है, तो कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी कैपिटल क्या है, जो डिविडेंड है, तो वो अगर रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी से ज्यादा है, इसका मतलब कंपनी के पास ज्यादातर ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं है, कंपनी के पास कैश ज्यादा है पर कोई प्रोजेक्ट में पैसा लगाने के लिए कोई अपॉर्चुनिटीज नहीं है। तो उस सिचुएशन में कंपनी क्या करेगी, ज्यादा से ज्यादा वो डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करेगी। तो उस समय अगर डिविडेंड ज्यादा होगा तो उस हिसाब से फिर प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी का जो है वो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर भी ज्यादा होंगे उस पर्टिकुलर सिचुएशन में। उसी तरीके से अगर केई आरओई से लेस है तो इसका मतलब हुआ कि कंपनी हैज growth opportunities. The company has growth opportunities. अगर लेस होता है कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी, अगर रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी से लेस होता है, इसका मतलब कंपनी के पास ग्रोथ अपॉर्चुनिटीज है, कंपनी डिविडेंड उस समय नहीं देती है और जो भी अर्निंग होता है उसको प्रोजेक्ट्स में पैसा लगाती है। तो इस सिचुएशन में कंपनी जितना कम डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करेगी, जीरो डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करेगी, तो तब प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर ज्यादा होगा। इस सिचुएशन में जितना भी कंपनी कम डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करेगी, प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर्स उतना ज्यादा होगा। तो ये बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है वॉल्टर्स मॉडल का। Okay. Now, come to the next question. Just read the question. First, we try to understand it, then we shall proceed. So, information क्या दी हुई है आपके सामने? Current dividend 2.5, discount rate 10.5%, growth rate 2%. Calculate the present value of stock of ABC Limited. So, this question very easy. You have calculated it many number of times. I have given many examples regarding this also. कि D0 दिया हुआ है, जी की वैल्यू दी हुई है, डिस्काउंट रेट दिया हुआ है, तो सिंपल जो फॉर्मूला है P0 इज इक्वल टू D0 इंटू 1 प्लस जी अपॉन KE माइनस जी। और एक चीज और, अगर क्वेश्चन में कुछ नहीं दिया हुआ है तो हम यही एज्यूम करके चलेंगे कि कंपनी जो है डिविडेंड इनफाइनाइट पीरियड तक, इंडेफिनिट पीरियड तक, फॉर अ लॉन्ग टाइम उस डिविडेंड को पे करेगी। तो यही वाला फॉर्मूला जो है अप्लाई किया जाएगा, अनलेस क्वेश्चन में और कुछ नहीं दिया होता है तो सिंपल जो अप्रोच जो फॉलो करेंगे वो यही फॉलो करेंगे जो फॉर्मूला अब तक हम इस सिचुएशन में यूज करते हैं। P0 इज इक्वल टू D0 इंटू 1 प्लस जी अपॉन KE माइनस जी। इस तरह से फर्स्ट सिचुएशन को पहले हम कैलकुलेट करते हैं। This is the answer to question number 2 of the assignment. Present value of equity shares P0 is equal to D0 1 plus G upon KE minus G. D0, the current dividend is 2.5. Growth rate is also given in the question, 10.5%. And cost of equity capital is, the growth rate is 0.02%. Growth rate is 0.02%. KE is discount. To 2.55 divided by it is coming to about 30. Is coming to 30 rupees. So 30 rupees is the answer. It is the present value of future dividend discounted at the discount rate of 10.5%. So in this question, this is the first part. We now have to calculate the second part of this question, second part of question number 2 of the assignment. Okay, now first read the question. It is given that is the stock overvalued if stock price is 35? I will first take the assignment. Now just read the question first. The second part. Is it the stock overvalued if the stock price is 35, ROE is 9%, and EPS is 2.25%? Should detailed calculation by following the price earning multiple approach and earning growth model. Okay, so two information given. Return on equity is given and EPS is given. And after, you have to calculate the present value according to both the price earning multiple approach and earning growth model. And then you have to give your recommendation whether to buy the shares or sell the shares, or whether the shares are overvalued or undervalued. So let us solve this question. Now, price earning multiple is equal to can calculate it this way. P0 by price earning multiple approach. Price earning multiple approach. So in this case, P0 is equal to earning per share into price earning ratio. Okay. EPS is given in the question, but if you can observe that the price earning multiple is not given. So you have to calculate the price earning multiple. Price earning multiple, the formula is market price per share upon earning per share. This is the general formula which is used. Price earning multiple is equal to market price per share upon earning per share. But this formula cannot be used here because the information regarding the market price per share is not given. So it can also be calculated as 1 upon cost of capital. Or it can be also be calculated as 1 upon ROE, that is return on equity or return on equity. So in this case, price earning multiple will be 1 upon return on equity is given in the question. It is actually 9%. So 1 upon 9. So let us calculate it. Is actually so price earning multiple is 0.11 actually. 11.11. That is 11.11. So now we have calculated this price earning multiple. We can calculate P0. So EPS, it is given in your question. The EPS figure. The EPS figure is given in the question, 2.25 multiplied by the price earning multiple. We have just calculated 11.11. So basically, it is actually coming to 25. Actually coming to 25. That is the present value as per the price earning multiple ratio. Now, the question is asking that, is the stock overvalued? First, before proceeding this, we have to compare this present value with the current market price per share. So what is the current market price per share? It is rupees 35. And present value is 25. So 25 is less than the current market price. So what would be the decision? The decision will be the sell because it is overvalued. You can recall that during our discussion on fundamental analysis, and during this previous class also, we have discussed that if the present value of shares is more than the current market price, it means the shares are undervalued. It means there is chances that the prices will go up. In that situation, it will be wise to buy the shares. But if the present value of equity shares is actually less than the current market price, so the situation will be actually overvalued. क्यों? क्योंकि इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू का बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है? इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू का बेसिक कॉन्सेप्ट है कि जो प्राइस है ये है फ्यूचर प्राइस को इंडिकेट करता है, क्योंकि पूरे चांसेस हैं कि फ्यूचर में प्राइस जो है वो 25 होंगे, अभी जो हमने कैलकुलेट किया प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल से। पर अभी करंट प्राइस ही 35 है, इसका मतलब प्राइस जो फ्यूचर में कम होंगे। तो इसका मतलब है कि अगर आपने शेयर होल्ड करके रखा है तो आप सेल करें, या आप इसको इन्वेस्ट करें ही नहीं इस कंपनी के शेयर में, क्योंकि ओवर वैल्यूड है ये। ओके, तो आंसर विल बी टू, आंसर इज दैट शेयर्स आर ओवर वैल्यूड। Now, one thing which may be, I think, coming into your mind, that why this price and multiple one by return on equity, one by cost of capital instead of one by cost of capital, one by return on equity is taken. Actually, in this question, it is assumed that whatever you can say company is utilizing its earnings in the profitable growth opportunities, means company is not declaring dividend. That is why earning based model is followed. And here in the question, the EPS is given. So it can be very well assumed in the question that the company is not following the practice of paying dividend regularly. It is actually practicing the policy of retaining its earnings and investing it in profitable growth opportunities. That is why cost of capital can be taken as, and return of equity can be taken interchangeably in this question. Now solve this question as per the earning growth model. Earning growth model, EPS is P0 is equal to EPS 1 plus growth rate upon KE minus G. EPS, it is also already EPS is given in the question 2.25. Growth rate we have already calculated as above. The growth rate is there. We will take the same growth rate, 2%, divided by KE minus G. In this case, the discount rate is 0.09 minus 0.02. Now, this portion may be the you can say point of contention for you. Why the discount rate is of 9% is taken, and why not this 10.5% given in the beginning of the question? The answer is that in this approach, I have explained earlier also during the course of my discussion that the company is following a policy of not declaring dividend every year. कंपनी ने पॉलिसी, इस क्वेश्चन में जो फिगर्स दिए हुए हैं इससे सेफली एज्यूम किया जा सकता है, क्योंकि ईपीएस का फिगर दिया हुआ है और अर्निंग बेस्ड मॉड्यूल निकालना है। इसका मतलब ये है कि कंपनी जो है रेगुलर डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करने के पक्ष में नहीं है, वो नहीं डिक्लेयर करती है रेगुलर, और जो भी रिटेन अर्निंग है उसको इन्वेस्ट करती है। तो इस सिचुएशन में जो रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी है, जो रिटर्न ऑन रिटेन अर्निंग्स है, और वो उसको कॉस्ट ऑफ, उसको हम कॉस्ट ऑफ रिटेन अर्निंग मान सकते हैं, कॉस्ट ऑफ क्योंकि कंपनी तो डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर कर ही नहीं रही है, तो जो भी अर्निंग्स है, जो रिटेन अर्निंग्स है, उसी का कॉस्ट हम निकालेंगे। तो रिटर्न ऑन रिटेन अर्निंग्स है, कॉस्ट ऑफ रिटेन अर्निंग्स जो उस सिचुएशन में वो सेम ही होगा। तो इसी वजह से हम जो आरओई का फिगर है उसको हम कॉस्ट ऑफ रिटेन अर्निंग भी मान सकते हैं। तो उसको एज अ कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल हम मान के उस रेट से हम डिस्काउंट कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज इट कैन ऑल्सो बी एज्यूम्ड एज द मिनिमम रेट ऑफ अर्निंग विच द इन्वेस्टर्स expect. So that is the reason why ROE has been taken as the discount rate and not this 10.5%, because 10.5% is taken as the discount rate when the company is following a dividend discount model. इस कंपनी हर साल डिविडेंड डिक्लेयर करती है, वो पॉलिसी फॉलो कर रही है। इस सिचुएशन में कंपनी डिविडेंड रेगुलरली पे नहीं कर रही है। ओके, वो जो भी अर्निंग्स है उसका इस्तेमाल वो फर्दर इन्वेस्ट करने, फर्दर प्रोजेक्ट्स में इन्वेस्ट करने में लगा रही है। तो यही रीजन है कि कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल जो है डिविडेंड वाला नहीं लिया जाएगा, कॉस्ट ऑफ जो कैपिटल है वो इक्विटी वाला लिया जाएगा, जो रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी है। तो दैट इज व्हाई द 9% रेट इज टेकन एंड नॉट 10.5%. नाउ लेट अस सॉल्व दिस क्वेश्चन. So this is for your basically understanding. Let us solve this question. That is coming, the answer is coming to 32.79. 32.79 as per the earning growth model. So this way the question has been solved. So in the first situation हमने क्वेश्चन को एक बार फिर से रिवाइज करते हैं कि हमने क्वेश्चन को कैसे अप्रोच किया। क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 में जो फर्स्ट है वो क्वेश्चन इजी है, क्योंकि इसमें करंट डिविडेंड, डिस्काउंट रेट, ग्रोथ रेट, हर चीज दी हुई है। तो सिंपल आपको जो डिविडेंड डिस्काउंट मॉडल का वो फॉर्मूला यूज करना है, जिसमें कि हम ये एज्यूम करते हैं कि डिविडेंड जो है हर साल वो इनफाइनाइट पीरियड तक वो सेम रहेगा। अगर क्वेश्चन में कुछ नहीं दिया रहता है तो हम यही एज्यूम करेंगे कि डिविडेंड हर साल जो है वो सेम रेट से इंक्रीज कर रहा है। सेकंड सिचुएशन में क्या है? सेकंड सिचुएशन में हमें प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकालना है प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल अप्रोच से और अर्निंग ग्रोथ मॉडल से। प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल अप्रोच से जब हमने क्वेश्चन को निकाला तो इसमें जो सिंपल फॉर्मूला ये है कि अर्निंग पर शेयर इनटू द प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल, द P0 इज इक्वल टू अर्निंग पर शेयर इनटू प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल। प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल जो है इसमें नहीं दिया हुआ है, एक्चुअली हम नहीं निकाल सकते, क्योंकि सिंपल जो फॉर्मूला होता है प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल का वो होता है मार्केट प्राइस पर शेयर अपॉन दिस अर्निंग पर शेयर, मार्केट प्राइस पर शेयर अपॉन अर्निंग पर शेयर। तो इस पर्टिकुलर कॉन्सेप्ट से प्राइस अर्निंग रेशियो को हम नहीं निकाल सकते थे, क्योंकि मार्केट प्राइस शेयर के रिगार्डिंग कोई इन्फॉर्मेशन है नहीं। तो इसको दूसरे तरीके से निकाल सकते हैं, जो है 1 अपॉन रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी। तो इस तरीके से हमने प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल निकाला। प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल को हमने शेयर प्राइसेस ईपीएस से मल्टीप्लाई किया तो हमारा वो P0 आ गया। तो P0 हमने कैलकुलेट किया, यहाँ पे हमने इसको P0 कैलकुलेट किया। देखिए प्राइस अर्निंग मल्टीपल हमने यूज किया 1 अपॉन ROE, और ROE हमारा आ गया। तो देन करंट स्टॉक प्राइस जो है हमारा वो इसे मल्टीप्लाई किया हमने ईपीएस इंटू ROE, तो आ गया हमारा 25। पर फिर क्वेश्चन में ये पूछ रहा है कि इज द स्टॉक ओवर वैल्यूड, क्या स्टॉक ओवर वैल्यूड है? तो आंसर है कि यस, ओवर वैल्यूड है। क्यों ओवर वैल्यूड है? ओवर वैल्यूड इसलिए है क्योंकि जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू है वो मार्केट प्राइस से कम है। रूल क्या कहता है कि प्रेजेंट वैल्यू जो मार्केट प्राइस से ज्यादा होता है तब वो अंडर वैल्यूड होता है, या उस सिचुएशन में तो उसको बेचेगा। अगर नहीं इन्वेस्ट किया है तो वो उसको अवॉइड करेगा, इन्वेस्ट नहीं करेगा उसमें। सेकंड सिचुएशन में क्या डिसीजन होगा इन्वेस्टर का? सेकंड सिचुएशन में भी ओवर वैल्यूड ही होगा, क्योंकि करंट मार्केट प्राइस कितना है? करंट मार्केट प्राइस कितना है? जो करंट मार्केट प्राइस है वो है 35। तो 35 जो है 32 से ज्यादा है, इसका मतलब जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू, जो इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू है, वो करंट मार्केट प्राइस से कम है। देयरफॉर ये सिचुएशन ओवर वैल्यूड है, तो कंपनी को अपने शेयर जो है वो, इन्वेस्टर को अपने शेयर्स बेच देने चाहिए, ऐसे कंपनी इन्वेस्ट नहीं करना चाहिए। इसका रीजन क्या है? इसका रीजन है कि जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू, ये जो वैल्यू शो कर रहा है 32.75, इसका मतलब ये है कि इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू क्या कहता है? इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू ये कहता है कि ये वैल्यू है जो कि पूरे चांसेस है कि कंपनी की वैल्यू, जो शेयर्स की वैल्यू 32.79 होगी फ्यूचर में। अगर 32.79 फ्यूचर में होगी, करंट प्राइस ही 35 है, इसका मतलब फ्यूचर में वो शेयर्स का प्राइस घटेंगे, तो इस सिचुएशन में इसको बेच देना चाहिए। दैट इज द बेसिक रीजन। Okay, I hope now you have understood this question fully. Let us get back to the next question. Okay, let us read the question number 3 carefully, try to understand it, and then we shall proceed. Okay. Now, MNP Limited has declared and paid annual dividend of 4%. Okay, fine. It is expected to grow at 20% for the next 2 years and 10% thereafter. Students, here the point is important. The second sentence is very important. That MNP is expected to grow 20% for the next 2 years. Means for the first 2 years, it will be super normal profit, super normal or extraordinary growth of 20% for the first 2 years. Then it will come to 10%. Thereafter means from third year onwards, it will grow at 10% till infinity or till indefinitely or for a long time to come. So, what is this? How to solve this question? This question can be solved by following the two-stage dividend discount model. We have taken a question on this, an example also. The two-stage dividend discount model will be followed in this situation. So 20% for first 2 years, then 10% thereafter means infinity formula will be applied from the third year onwards. The required rate of return, cost of equity capital is given, discount rate is given, which is 15%. And you have to compute the current price at which the equity share should sell. It means the maximum price at which the equity share should sell will be the price is actually the intrinsic value, because intrinsic value means वो value है जो कि फ्यूचर में वो प्राइस रिफ्लेक्ट करेगा, तो उसी प्राइस पे वो मैक्सिमम प्राइस होगा जिस पे बेचा जाएगा. We will solve the question and again we will discuss it. So in that situation, it will be more clear to you. So let us solve the question first. Okay. Now, what is given in the question? How we'll proceed? We will proceed through the two-stage discount model. If you can remember, students, I have explained to you the two-stage dividend discount model with the help of a simple example, in which I have just told you that it can be solved with the help of a simple logic as well as through the formula, which is given in your study material. So I will again solve this assignment question on both the, you can say, techniques, both the methods, that is by simple logic as well as the by the formula which is given in your study material. So we will solve it by the first method. Thank you. So first method, uh, Present value factor at what is the discount rate? Discount rate is 15%. Present value factor 15% and present value. So for first year and second year. So first year, so for the dividend, for the current dividend is 4, and it will grow at 20%. So 4 into 1.2, 4 into 1.2, which will come to, which is actually 4.8. So this is the dividend at the end of the first year. 4 is the dividend at the beginning of the first year, which is given in the question. So if we multiply 4, which is the dividend at the beginning of the year, with the growth rate, which is 20%, and the dividend at the end of the year, estimated dividend at the end of the first year is 4.8. Now we will calculate the dividend at the end of second year. So it will be dividend at the end of first year multiplied by the growth rate, same 20%, is 5.76. It is 5.76. The PV factor is given in the question also. Try to solve it. You have to multiply the dividend with the present value factor in order to arrive at the present value. That is the discount rate. Present value factor at 15%, it is given in the question, is 0.8696 for first year, and for second year it is 0.7561. So let us multiply this dividend with the present value factor. Is coming to 4.17. Coming to 4.36. Now add these two figures. So it is actually the present value at 20% growth rate. It is the present value at 20% growth rate. Now we have to calculate the present value at the 10% growth rate. At the 10% growth rate. So it will be P2 is equal to D2 into 1 plus G upon K minus G. Or D2 into 1 plus G, we can also write it as D3 upon K minus G. I hope this point is clear to you. Why we have written here P2? Why we have written here P2? हमने यहाँ पे P2 क्यों लिखा है? P3 क्यों नहीं लिखा? So what does P2 indicates? P2 indicates that it is the present value at the beginning of the third year or at the end of the second year. Why we have taken P2? Because We have taken the present value for first 2 years. Okay. Present value of dividend received the end of first year, the end of second year. So now we will calculate present value for at the beginning of the third year or at the end of the second year. So dividend at the beginning of the third year will be dividend received at the end of the third year. Dividend present value at the beginning of the third year will be dividend at the end of the third year. That is why D2 is multiplied by the growth rate, or it will be D3, which will be discounted to arrive at the present value at the beginning of the third year. So this D3, dividend received at the end of the third year, will be discounted to arrive at this present value at the beginning of third year. So what is this P2? P2 is actually this is price at the beginning of third year. Beginning of third year, or you can say end of second year. Or end of second year. If you can recall, what is the formula which you use? If you want to calculate the present value of future dividends, means अभी अगर हम dividend किसी कंपनी के शेयर में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे तो अभी क्या पे करेंगे at this moment? So it will be denoted by P0. So P0 is generally multiply D0 into 1 plus G upon K minus G या D1 upon K minus G. So present value of shares will be is equal to dividend received at the end of first year. In the same way, present value at the beginning of the third year will be dividend at the end of the third year, discounted by a discount rate to arrive at the present value at the beginning of the third year. So this way, it can be understood with this concept. I hope it is now understood to you. So I will not rub it. It is for your explanation only. This portion. This portion. So this is for the explanation. You need not to write it as a part of the solution. Now, let us put the values into the formula. Dividend at the end of the second year, 5.76, which will be multiplied by the growth rate. What is the growth rate now? It is 10%. So it is 1.1 divided by K minus G. So K is discount rate is given in the question. It is 0.15 minus growth rate Okay. Let us solve it. Is coming to 126.72. Is coming to 126.72. So what this figure is, 126.72, it is basically the, you can say, it is P2 at 10% growth rate. But what is this 126.72? 126.72 is the present value at the beginning of third year. But we have to calculate present value at the beginning of the first year. So let us convert this figure in by calculating a present value at the beginning of first year. So P0 at 10% growth rate will be 126.72 will be multiplied by this discounting factor of the second year, which is 0.7561. 0.7561. So it will be 95.81. It is actually coming to 95.81. So now we will add both the present value, that is present value at 10%, which is the present value at 20%, which is the super normal growth period, and the present value at 10%, which is the normal growth rate period. We will add this both the values to arrive at the final P0. So P0 at both 20% and 10% growth rate is equal to, add both this figure, 95.81, that is P0 at 20% plus P0 at 10%. We have just calculated P0 at 10% is 8.53. 8.53. Just add this 2, coming to 104.34. 104.34. Okay. So how we approach this question? We first of all calculate the present value at the supernormal growth, which is 20%. And then we calculate the present value at 10% growth rate and add both the figures. So it can be calculated by applying the formula which is given in your study material. So let us solve this by an alternative method. Alternative method, this is P0 is equal to B0 1 plus G. You can denote it G1. G1 is the normal supernormal growth period upon 1 plus K. The traditional approach we generally followed. If we have to take in on per year basis, अगर shortcut formula अगर नहीं apply करते, then ये formula हम apply करते हैं ordinance model में. Then it is for the first year. For second year, it will be 1 plus G1. G1 is the supernormal growth period, which is 20%. So square 1 plus K square for the second year. Okay. Plus this Pn. Pn is basically the beginning of the, you can say, normal growth rate period or the end of the super growth period. So it is basically beginning of the normal period is P2. So P2 upon 1 plus K square. So this P2 is also called the terminal value. What is the terminal value? Terminal value is the value at the beginning of the normal growth period. Beginning of normal growth period. Okay. And now how P2 is calculated? P2 is calculated by the formula which is B0 1 plus G1 square, that is which is second year dividend, multiplied by 1 plus G2. G2 is the normal growth rate period. And KE minus G2, normal growth rate period. Okay. So first of all, let us calculate this first aspect. Let us calculate this first aspect, and then we will come to this second aspect. Okay. Let us calculate the P0 for the first 2 years when the growth rate is exponential, extraordinary. So this P0 at I can say P0 20% growth rate. So it is current dividend four into 1 plus what is the normal supernormal growth rate. It is 20%. KE discount rate is 15% plus 4 into 1 plus 0.2 square upon. We are just putting the figures into the formula. Let us solve this. Coming to 4.17 plus So it is basically coming to 4.36. So let us add these figures. Coming to 8.53 or 8.52. Earlier it is also coming 8.53. So P0 20% growth rate. Now we shall calculate the P0 at the 10% growth rate. So we'll apply this formula. We'll calculate the P2 first. Okay. By this formula only. So P2 at 10% growth rate is equal to 4, that is D0 into 1 plus G 0.2 square into 1 plus 0.1 upon K 0.15 minus normal growth rate, which is okay. So calculate it. Is 6.336 divided by 0.05. So it is 126.72. But now we will calculate apply the formula, entire formula. This is the formula. So this portion we have already calculated. This one, that is the P0 at 20% growth rate. We have calculated this portion also, P2. Now we will put the figures into the formula. This P2 upon 1 plus K1. This portion only remains. So now it will be, so P0 at 20% and 10% growth rate is actually 8.53 plus 126, which is actually P2, divided by 1 plus Ke to the power square. 1 plus Ke 0.15 square is 8.53 plus 95.82 plus 8.53. So it is coming to that the same level, 104.34. Coming to about same level, it is 104.34. That is the first method. Okay. तो हम कोई भी अप्रोच फॉलो करें, लॉजिकली जो फर्स्ट मेथड फॉलो करें या फिर सेकंड मेथड फॉलो करें, तो आंसर जो है सेम ही आएगा. फर्स्ट मेथड है थोड़ा सा इजी है, अगर आप इसको समझ पाएंगे तो फर्स्ट मेथड से करना ज्यादा आसान होता है. सेकंड मेथड में फॉर्मूला के थ्रू आपको करना पड़ेगा. फर्स्ट मेथड में लॉजिकली इसको प्रोसीड करेंगे. क्वेश्चन में क्या दिया हुआ है? क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है कि पहले 2 साल तक जो डिविडेंड ग्रोथ रेट है वो 20% है. उसके बाद जो है वो 2 साल के बाद थर्ड ईयर से वो 10% पे आ जाता है, और 10% जो है फिर वो चलता ही रहता है इनफाइनाइट पीरियड तक. तो हम इसको अलग अलग 2 भागों में इसको हम कैलकुलेट करेंगे. पहले 2 साल के लिए कैलकुलेट कर लेंगे 20% ग्रोथ रेट से, फिर 10% ग्रोथ रेट से कैलकुलेट करेंगे. हमने उसी तरीके से किया है कि पहले यहाँ पे ये 20% ग्रोथ रेट से हमने कैलकुलेट किया कि डिविडेंड एट द एंड ऑफ द सेकेंड ईयर, फर्स्ट ईयर कितना है, सेकेंड ईयर कितना है, तो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू फैक्टर से मल्टीप्लाई किया. देन जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू आई वो 8.53 आई, जो कि 20% ग्रोथ रेट का. उसके बाद हमने 10% ग्रोथ रेट के लिए फिर P2 पे हमने P2 कैलकुलेट किया सबसे पहले, कि अगर प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एट द एंड ऑफ द सेकेंड ईयर और बिगिनिंग ऑफ द थर्ड ईयर कितना होता, तो वो होता डिविडेंड एट द एंड ऑफ द थर्ड ईयर. तो हमने ये निकाला डिविडेंड P2 मींस प्राइस एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द थर्ड ईयर एट 10% ग्रोथ रेट, पर हमें डिविडेंड निकालना है एट द एंड ऑफ द फर्स्ट ईयर. सो P0 हमने निकाला. कैसे? जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू फैक्टर है, डिस्काउंट फैक्टर लगाया हमने, पीवी फैक्टर जो लगाया वो लगाया सेकेंड ईयर का यहाँ पे 0.7561. सो यू मल्टीप्लाई द, यू कैन से P2 which is actually 126.72 into the PV factor of the second year, that is 0.7561. The answer came is 95.8. Now we have got this PV factor at P0, present value 10% growth rate 8.53, and present value at 10% growth rate, present value 20% growth rate, present value at 10% growth rate. We will add the present value of both these figures to arrive at the final present value. So it will be 95.81 plus 8.53, which is 100.34. Alternatively, हम इस फॉर्मूला से भी कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं. दिस फॉर्मूला इज गिवन इन द इज योर स्टडी मटेरियल आल्सो. तो इस तरह से भी कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं इसको. सेम अप्रोच, लॉजिक सेम ही रहेगा. फॉर्मूला भी यूज करेंगे तो सेम लॉजिक से ही उसको कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा, जो कि हमने फर्स्ट मेथड में किया. जैसे ये जो पोर्शन है, जो पहले 10% रेट से 20% सुपर प्रॉफिट ग्रोथ है, वो पहले कैलकुलेट करेंगे, उसके बाद नॉर्मल ग्रोथ पीरियड पे आएंगे। सो जी फर्स्ट पोर्शन है ये, जिसपे मैंने ये किया है, ये पोर्शन दिस पर्टिकुलर पोर्शन, ये 20% ग्रोथ रेट पे है। तो पहले हमें ये कैलकुलेट किया इसको, इस पोर्शन को। तो P0 20% ग्रोथ रेट आया 8.53, जैसे कि पहले मेथड में आया था। देन हम सेकेंड पोर्शन को कैलकुलेट करेंगे ये। सो P2 अपन 1+k²। सबसे पहले P2 कैलकुलेट करेंगे। P2 का फॉर्मूला ये है। इस तरह से पहले हमने, इसके बाद हमने P2 को कैलकुलेट किया। P2 है 10% ग्रोथ रेट, तो ये 126.72। पर P2 क्या है? P2 इज द प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द थर्ड ईयर। तो हमें क्या कैलकुलेट करना है? प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द फर्स्ट ईयर। सो इसको हम इसलिए फॉर्मूला में लगाएंगे। 8.53 जो है एक्चुअली ये प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ऑफ 10% एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ फर्स्ट ईयर, present value at 20% at the beginning of the first year, and present value of at the beginning of the first year for 10% ग्रोथ रेट को कैलकुलेट करने के लिए हमें डिस्काउंट फैक्टर लगाएंगे। तो पीवी फैक्टर जो पहले मेथड में किया था, पीवी फैक्टर जो है वो हम पीवी फैक्टर जो है सेकेंड ईयर का लगाएंगे। पीवी फैक्टर ये 0.7561, या हम इससे भी ऐसे भी कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं, 1+ इस तरह से भी कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं कि 1+0.5²। तो वो आंसर बात बराबर ही पड़ेगी, आंसर सिमिलर ही आएगा। उसी तरह से 8.53 है वो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द फर्स्ट ईयर फॉर एट 20% ग्रोथ रेट, और जो 95.82 ये है प्रेजेंट वैल्यू एट द बिगिनिंग ऑफ द फर्स्ट ईयर फॉर 10% ग्रोथ रेट। उन दोनों को ऐड किया तो फाइनल जो आंसर आया प्रेजेंट वैल्यू आया 104.34, क्योंकि दोनों मेथड में ऑलमोस्ट सेम ही आंसर आएगा। I hope now this is clear to you, this question. Now come to the fourth question of your assignment. After this first three question, I think you will be able to solve the question 4, majority part of the question 4 on your own. Let us just understand this question number 4, and first of all try to make out how to proceed the question, and then we will start solving this question. The question number 4 in front of you. So just first read the question first. X Limited declare a dividend 14 per share. Fine. And Mr. B, an investor, plans to purchase the share of X Limited. And it anticipates that the growth rate will increase from 8% to 9%, and which will continue for 3 years. And he also expects the market price of the share to be 360 after 3 years. So what you have to calculate? Just understand this question point wise. First, it is asking that the maximum amount Mr. B should pay for shares if he requires a rate of return of 13% per annum. तो मैक्सिमम प्राइस बी क्या पे करेगा? वही इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू, मीन्स आपको इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करना है। एट द रेट ऑफ रिटर्न इज 30%, डिस्काउंट रेट इज 13%। क्वेश्चन पढ़ के क्या आपको लग रहा है कि क्या इसमें जो डिविडेंड डिस्काउंट कांस्टेंट डिविडेंड ग्रोथ रेट का मॉडल यूज होगा? क्योंकि हम यू एज्यूम करते हैं कि डिविडेंड जो इनफाइनाइट पीरियड तक कंटिन्यू होगा, जिसमें हम सिंपल ये फॉर्मूला लगाते हैं जब हम ये एज्यूम करते हैं कि इनफाइनाइट इनडिफिनिट पीरियड तक डिविडेंड रहेगा, तो हम क्या फॉर्मूला यूज करते हैं? d0 इंटू 1+g अपॉन t माइनस जी, शॉर्टकट फॉर्मूला है। क्या ये फॉर्मूला यूज होगा इस सिचुएशन में? द आंसर इज नो। व्हाई? बिकॉज it is clearly given in the question that the Mr. B is anticipating increase in growth rate at 9% for 3 years, 3 साल तक, and he also expect the market price to be 360 after 3 years. What it means? It means that he wants to hold this share for 3 years. Therefore, this infinity formula will not be applicable. This infinity formula will not be applicable. So we have to calculate present value for all these years separately and then add all the figures. 1, 2, 3, 3 years. के लिए हमें अलग-अलग कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा प्रेजेंट वैल्यू, जो हमने पिछले क्वेश्चन में किया था सुपर नॉर्मल ग्रोथ पीरियड के केस में. So let us solve this first part and then we will come to the second part. This is the answer to question number 4. The first part. The same method, because in this case we have to calculate for all these years separately. Present value factor at the rate. What is the discount rate? Discount rate is 13%. And then the PV, that is the present value. First year, second year, third year. Okay. First year dividend at the beginning, 14. So we'll multiply it by the growth rate, which is 9%. It will be 1.09. 14 into 1.09. It's coming to 15.26. So this 15.26 is the dividend received at the end of the first year. Now we will calculate dividend received at the end of the second year. So it will be dividend at the end of first year multiplied by the growth rate, which is 9%. Now dividend at the end of the second year will be multiplied by the growth rate, which is coming to 18.13. Now we will calculate this with the present value factor. But again, third year, the Mr. B is expected to sell the shares. So जिसने पे third year, the end of third year, मतलब third year के बाद, तीसरे साल के बाद इसने इसको बेचना चाहेगा third year के बाद, तो उसका भी प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकालना पड़ेगा. अगर उसको थर्ड ईयर में बेच रहा है तो अभी अगर बेचा होता तो उसकी वैल्यू कितनी होती, तो उसके प्रेजेंट वैल्यू भी निकालेगा 360 का. इस पे वो बेचने की सोच रहा है तीसरे साल में. तो 360 it will be 360 into the dividend factor. So first of all, let us calculate the dividend first. Present value factor is given in the question. It is 0.885. 0.885 for first year, 0.783 for second year, and 0.693 for third year. So let us multiply this discount factor, present value factor, with the dividend. उसके बाद तीसरे ईयर में, जैसा कि मैं बता रहा था, तीसरे ईयर में कंपनी जो है, कंपनी के शेयर जो एक्स जो है उसको बेचना चाहता है एट द एंड ऑफ द थर्ड ईयर। कितने बेचना चाहता है वो उसको? 360 पे। 360 पे। तो 360 को भी हम मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे, तो इट कैन बी ऑब्लिक सेल भी हम लिख सकते हैं। तो यहाँ पे 360 लिखें, एंड दैट इज पी फैक्टर, वही तीसरे साल का, थर्ड ईयर का डिस्काउंटिंग फैक्टर जो है। सो लेट अस मल्टीप्लाई 0.63 इंटू 360, क्योंकि 360 तीसरे साल में रिसीव हो गया है। अभी अगर रिसीव होता तो उसकी प्राइस कितनी होती? तो लेट अस मल्टीप्लाई इट विद द प्रेजेंट वैल्यू फैक्टर। 0.693 is 249.48. Let us add all these figures, प्रेजेंट वैल्यू फिगर्स सारे के, जो प्रेजेंट वैल्यू सारे के ऐड करके फिर फाइनल प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकालेंगे इसका। 0.51, so it is coming to 288.57. So it is coming to 288.57. So this is the present value. This is the present value. Okay. So first part is solved. Now come to the second part of your question. Come back to assignment again. Second part में what the question is saying? Question is saying that the maximum price B will be willing to pay for the shares if he is of the opinion that 9% growth rate can be maintained indefinitely and requires a 13% rate of return per annum. एक चीज, one thing you must have been noticed in the second point, वो क्या? The point indefinitely. This point indefinitely. सो ये क्या कहता है? इसका मतलब है कि ये डिविडेंड 9% ग्रोथ रेट है, इनफाइनाइट पीरियड तक, इनडेफिनिट पीरियड तक वो कंटिन्यू रहेगा। सो इन दिस सिचुएशन विच फॉर्मूला इज यूज? यस, द कांस्टेंट डिविडेंड ग्रोथ मॉडल ऑफ गॉर्डन्स। The formula is P0 is equal to D0 into 1 plus G upon KE minus G. So this formula will be, so now this part 2 is quite simple to calculate. Let us calculate this part 2. Formula will be P0 is equal to D0 into 1 plus G upon KE minus G. D0 14 into 1 plus growth rate 9% upon KE minus G. Discount factor is 13% minus 0.09. 0.09. Let us calculate it. 14 into 1 plus 0.9. 15.26 divided by 0.04, I think. Yes. 15.26 divided by 0.04, 381.5. 381.5. So this is the answer, which is actually coming. 381.5. The second part of the question is very, you can say, simple, because in the question it is clearly given that the dividend at growth rate 9% will continue indefinitely. The simple dividends constant growth rate model will be used. Now come to the third part of the assignment. What the third part is saying, you have to determine the price of share at the end of 3 years if 9% growth rate is achieved and assuming other conditions remaining same as in 2 above. Price of share at the end of 3 years. जब भी आप क्वेश्चन पढ़िए, just want to deduce that what it is want to ask, और उसी में एक आप डिसाइड कर लीजिए कि आपका जो प्लान ऑफ एक्शन क्या रहेगा, कैसे आप क्वेश्चन को प्रोसीड करेंगे. तो ये जब सॉल्व करेंगे तब वो आपके लिए इजी हो जाएगा. तो यू हैव टू फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल सी व्हाट शुड बी अ प्लान ऑफ एक्शन. हियर द मेन पॉइंट इज price of share at the end of 3 years. What it means, price of share at the end of 3 years, you can denote it by at the end of 3 years P3. At the end of 3 years also mean it also means the beginning of the 4th year. The beginning of 4th year. It also means the beginning of 4th year. So you have to calculate P3. And other condition will be same as in 2. Means the growth rate, discount rate, all will be same. So let us solve this question. Part 3 of the question. You have to calculate the P3 because it is asking that what will the value at the end of the 3 years, so beginning of the 4th year. So it will be basically dividend at the end of third year, 1 plus G or dividend at the end of third year multiplied by the growth rate, or you can directly write it as D4 also. D minus G. Okay. Now D3 you have already calculated. That is dividend at the end of the third year. It is 18.13. It is 18.13 dividend at the end of third year. Multiplied it by the growth rate, which is 0.09%, because it is given in the question that all other things will be constant. Assume that they are same. Key discount rate 0.13 minus 0.09. So it is basically coming to 494. It is basically coming to 494. Okay. So we have approached all this question by these methods. I hope you are able to understand this. So question number 4, how we have approached. Initially, all the things are given. Dividend at the beginning of the year 14 is given, and it is expecting that the growth rate will be 9%, and it will continue for 3 years. So in this case, dividends constant growth rate model, Gordon's constant growth rate model will not be used. So the present value have to be calculated for every year for first 3 years. And also the present value have to be calculated for the selling price also, because the investor expect to sell this at the end of the third year. This is the first portion. The second portion, the language which is used is the word which is used indefinitely. Therefore, it is clearly given in the question that company will maintain this growth rate, 9% growth rate indefinitely. So dividends, that is Gordon's dividend, constant dividend growth model will be used. In the third part, it is clearly given in the question price of share at the end of 3 years, at the end of 3 years or at the beginning of fourth year. So calculation P3 will be calculated. So P3 will be calculated by the simple method. P3 is equal to means price at the beginning of third year will be dividend at the end of the fourth year, which will be discounted at a discount rate to arrive at the price at the beginning of the fourth year. Simple. So in this case, I will take a brief break of about 10 minutes. And after the break, we will see other questions also. We have solved the first four questions, and then we will come to the other questions of the assignment. So I'm taking a break of about 10 minutes. Okay, students, welcome back. We have taken the first four questions of the assignment of the valuation of equity shares. Now I will take question number 5. Just read this question. From this question, whatever figures are given, so what is your take? Which you can say growth model should be used in this case while calculating the present value? Whether the dividend discount model will be used, whether the earning growth model will be used, whether the free cash flow method will be used, which method should be used? By comparing these figures means some of the terms which are used in this particular question, for example, capital expenditure, if you can see that the terms which have been used in this question, that is capital expenditure, depreciation per share, change in working capital. विनु जी साफ दिख रहा है ना बिल्कुल? So various figures, that is capital expenditure, depreciation, change in working capital. From this, you can deduce that the free cash flow method will be applicable in this case. Free cash flow to equity method will be used in this case. And for this, we have to start from the profit. But the figures of the profit and another aspect in this question, you can observe that capital expenditure is given per share, depreciation is also given per share, and change in working capital is also given per share. So to begin with, you have to first of all calculate the profit per share. But profit per share is not given. The profit of the company is given. So we have to convert this profit of the company into profit per share, that is earning per share, and then we can proceed with this particular question. So now that you can understood how to proceed this question, let us try to solve this question. Answer 5. So what is the free cash flow method? We can short form, we can write it as FCFE, free cash flow to equity, is equal to NOPAT, that is net profit after tax, net profit after tax plus depreciation minus capex, means any change in capital expenditure, less capital expenditure, any change in working capital plus new debt issued minus debt repaid, minus debt repaid. Now as I have said, that all the figures in the question have been given: capital expenditure, depreciation, change in working capital are given on per share basis. And here in this question, the profit of the company is given. So we have to calculate the profit per share or earning per share. So earning per share or EPS is equal to profit after tax divided by number of equity shares. So EPS, that is earning per share, is equal to profit after tax upon number of equity shares. Profit after tax, net profit of the company is given 290 crore rupees divided by the number of shares. Okay. Now, in the question, number of shares is not given. If you can observe, the number of shares is not given in this particular question. See, here, the equity capital of the given and the par value is given. Okay. So we have to divide this 1,300 divided by rupees 40 to arrive at the number of shares. So now number of equity shares will be calculated is equal to 1,300 rupees 1,300 crore divided by rupees 40 is equal to 32.5. So number of equity share will be 32.5 crores. So now apply this, put this formula into the above figures. 32.5. So EPS is equal to 290, which is profit after tax, divided by number of equity shares, which is 32.5. Is coming to 8.923. Okay. So now we have got the EPS. Shall we proceed? Before proceeding, another aspect which should be taken care of while solving this question is that, see, the debt equity ratio of the company, which is 27%. So debt upon equity, debt upon debt plus equity, that is debt portion is 27. So therefore the equity portion is 73%. So equity portion is, what it means, that the equity portion is 73%. So by this way, the question can be solved. So let us get back to the solution. So now, FCFE is equal to net operating profit after tax, means EPS is calculated because every figure in the question is per share basis. Therefore, we have calculated the EPS first. So it is EPS 8.923 plus depreciation. Depreciation is given in the question 39. But before that, we are calculating free cash flow to equity. Therefore, all these figures have to be calculated in proportion to the equity. And what is the proportion of equity? It is 73%. Why? Because debt portion is 27%. So out of 100, debt portion is 27%. So equity portion is 73%. So we have to calculate every figures in proportion to the equity, which is 73%. So it will be 0.73 multiplied by depreciation will be multiplied with this 73%, which is the equity portion. So depreciation is 39, depreciation per share, minus capex, capital expenditure given in the question 47. Again, this 47 will be in proportion to the equity. So 0.73 multiplied by 47. Again, change in working capital, this portion will be in proportion to the equity. 0.73. This 0.73 multiplied by 3.45. 3.45. So let us calculate it. So it will be same 8.923 plus 0.73 multiplied by the depreciation, 0.73 multiplied by 39, coming to 28.47 minus 0.73 capex portion 47, 34.31. Then comes the working capital portion 0.73 multiplied by 3.45, 2.52, 2.5185. That is the is coming to 0.5645. So FCFE is 0.5645 or free cash flow to equity is 0.5645. But this is the free cash flow to equity. We have to calculate the present value because in question number 5, if you can see in your assignment, what the question is asking? Question is asking about the value of share. That is, you have to calculate the present value. Okay. But before this calculation, so present value, it will be calculated with the help of this P0 is equal to FCFE multiplied by the growth rate divided by KE minus G. So we have got this free cash flow to equity and growth rate is also given in the question. Long run growth rate is 8%, but the figure of KE is not given, cost of equity. So KE, if you see the question, the figure KE, the discount rate is not given. Growth rate is here given, long run growth rate, it is given 8%. So how to calculate this discount rate or cost of equity? Can it be calculated with the help of dividend discount model? The answer is no. Because if you can observe from the figure that beta is given, risk-free interest rate is given, beta is given, risk-free interest rate is given, market return is given. So from these figures, you can easily deduce that the cost of capital or discount rate will be calculated with the help of the CAPM model. So during my this lecture on valuation of equity shares in my previous lecture, I have explained this, how this cost of equity capital can be calculated with the help of the CAPM model also. Equity risk premium, market risk premium. So we have all discussed this during our previous lecture. So cost of equity will be calculated with the help of the CAPM model. So let us calculate it. So KE will be calculated. KE will be calculated with the help of the CAPM model, which is RF plus RF plus beta into RM minus RF. So it is basically the CAPM model or capital assets pricing model. Okay. So what is RF? RF is the risk-free rate. This sign is actually beta. This is beta, and this RM basically this is market return. This is the market return and this is the risk-free rate. This is the risk-free rate. So let us put the figures into the formula. RF, risk-free rate, is given in the question. It is 8.7 plus beta. Beta is 0.1. Market return is given 10.3 minus risk-free rate, which is 8.7. Is 8.86. The discount rate is 8.86. Now calculate the P0. You've got all the figures. FCFE, free cash flow to equity, we have already calculated. It is 0.5645. 1 plus growth rate. Growth rate is given in the question. It is 8%. KE, cost of equity, we have just calculated. It is 8.86%. Minus growth rate. Let us calculate it. Let us divide this figure. 0.6097 divided by 0.086. It's coming to about 70.89. It's coming to about 70.89. Present value. Okay. So this way it is calculated. So from the question, we can easily deduce that it can be that P0 have to be calculated with the help of the free cash flow to equity method. So free cash flow to equity method, the formula is given here under free cash flow to equity is equal to NOPAT, that is net operating profit after tax plus depreciation, minus capex, that is minus capital expenditure, minus any change in working capital, plus new debt issued minus debt repaid. So from the question, we have seen that all the figures are in per share basis. Therefore, the profit of the company have to be calculated on the basis of per share basis. तो इस वजह से प्रॉफिट ऑफ द कंपनी को पर शेयर बेसिस पे कैलकुलेट करना पड़ा, वो एक्चुअली है ईपीएस. सो पहले हमने ईपीएस को कैलकुलेट किया, प्रॉफिट आफ्टर टैक्स अपॉन नंबर ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर्स. नंबर ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर्स हमारे क्वेश्चन में नहीं दिया हुआ है. दो फिगर्स के बेसिस पे हमने इसको कैलकुलेट किया, क्योंकि क्वेश्चन में इक्विटी कैपिटल और पार वैल्यू दोनों दिए हुए हैं. नंबर ऑफ इक्विटी शेयर कैलकुलेट किया, उसके बेसिस पे हमारा ईपीएस आया 8.89. ये फिगर आया हमारा 8.923, ये हमारा ईपीएस आया. उसके बाद एफसीएफई हमने कैलकुलेट किया. और जो सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट ध्यान देने वाली बात है इस क्वेश्चन में कि सभी जो फिगर्स है उसको इक्विटी के प्रोपोर्शन में लेकर आए. क्यों? क्योंकि हम फ्री कैश फ्लो टू इक्विटी हम कैलकुलेट कर रहे हैं. किस प्रोपोर्शन में लाए? 73%. क्यों? क्योंकि डेट 27% है. तो 100 में से अगर डेट 27% है तो इक्विटी वो 73% होगा. तो सारे फिगर्स को इसलिए 73% में लेकर आए. फिर हमने इसको सॉल्व किया तो फ्री कैश फ्लो टू इक्विटी हमारा आया 0.5645. फिर इसके बेसिस पे हमने प्रेजेंट वैल्यू कैलकुलेट करना था. पर इस क्वेश्चन में एक और चीज है कि उसमें कॉस्ट ऑफ इक्विटी कैपिटल और डिस्काउंट रेट नहीं दिया हुआ है, तो हमने कैलकुलेट किया CAPM और या कैपिटल एसेट प्राइसिंग मॉडल के बेसिस पे। इसका फॉर्मूला है रिस्क फ्री रेट प्लस बीटा मल्टीप्लाइड बाय मार्केट रेट ऑफ रिटर्न माइनस रिस्क फ्री रेट ऑफ रिटर्न। सो हमारा जो डिस्काउंट रेट है 8.86, तो सभी वैल्यू हमारे पास है, हमने इसको फॉर्मूला में पुट किया। दैट इज 5.5645 इज द 0.5645 this figure. It is FCFE. 8% is the growth rate. 0.886 it is the cost of equity which you have calculated. The final amount which is came to 70.89. So 70.89 is the present value or the equity shares, the value of the company as per the FCFE method or free cash flow to equity method. Okay. अब आते हैं नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन, क्वेश्चन नंबर 6 पे। क्वेश्चन नंबर 6 जो है थोड़ा सा लेंदी है, तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यू हैव टू रीड द फिगर्स वेरी केयरफुली, ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड इट, हाउ टू प्रोसीड द क्वेश्चन एंड देन स्टार्ट सॉल्विंग द क्वेश्चन। ओके, तो सबसे पहले आप फिगर्स को ध्यान से देखिए कि और समझने की कोशिश कीजिए कि इस क्वेश्चन को हम कैसे बिगिन कर सकते हैं। क्वेश्चन में 8% डिवेंचर गिवन, 10% बॉन्ड्स, इक्विटी शेयर्स, रिजर्व्स एंड सरप्लस, टोटल एसेट, एसेट टर्नओवर रेशियो, effective interest rate, effective tax rate, operating margin, dividend payout ratio, current market price per share and required rate of return। ये कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन है। हमें कैलकुलेट करना है इनकम स्टेटमेंट सबसे पहले। बट इनकम स्टेटमेंट के लिए टू सी दैट कि सेल्स का फिगर नहीं दिया हुआ है, तो सेल्स का फिगर हम यहाँ से एसेट टर्नओवर रेशियो से हम निकाल सकते हैं, क्योंकि टोटल एसेट का फिगर भी दिया हुआ है, तो सेल्स निकल आएगा। फिर ऑपरेटिंग मार्जिन का फिगर दिया हुआ है, तो इससे हमारा ऑपरेटिंग प्रॉफिट भी आ जाएगा, क्योंकि अगर 10% अगर ऑपरेटिंग मार्जिन है, प्रॉफिट है, इसका मतलब ऑपरेटिंग कॉस्ट 90% है। तो उसके बाद जो है इंटरेस्ट भी हम कैलकुलेट कर सकते हैं, इंटरेस्ट रेट भी दिया हुआ है। तो इस बेसिस पे हम धीरे धीरे क्वेश्चन को हम कैरी फॉरवर्ड करेंगे। तो ऐसे हम इस क्वेश्चन को हम अप्रोच करेंगे। तो सबसे पहले हम इनकम स्टेटमेंट कैलकुलेट करते हैं। ओके, इनकम स्टेटमेंट को कैलकुलेट करने से पहले हम सबसे पहले एक वर्किंग नोट्स तैयार करते हैं। तो फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल लेट अस calculate the figures which can be used while preparing the income statement. Okay, so first of all, first is the sales of the company. So asset turnover ratio is given. Asset turnover ratio is given, which is actually 1.1, and asset turnover ratio is equal to turnover upon assets. So what it means, turnover is 1.1 of the assets, and assets are given. Assets is equal to 600. Assets is 600 lakhs. So iske basis, so can we calculate sales on this basis or turnover on this basis? The answer is yes. So turnover will be, turnover is 1.1 time of asset. Asset is 600. So turnover will be 600 into 1.1. So it is actually 660 lakhs. So now the sales figure is arrived at. Now the second part. Second working note is with regard to calculation of the operating margin. Okay, operating margin is 10%. It is given in the question. Operating margin 10%. It is given in the question. So operating cost will be 100 minus 10, that it will be 90%. Sales figure we have already calculated. So operating cost is equal to 660 into 90%. So it is 594. So now if operating cost is arrived at, and operating margin or operating profit can be easily arrived at. Sales less operating cost is operating profit. Now the third aspect which have to be calculated in this working note, that is interest. Now students, please pay attention to this. Effective interest rate given in the question is 8%. Go to the assignment. The effective interest rate, here it is given. This portion, the effective interest rate, and it is effective interest rate is actually 8%. Effective interest rate is actually 8%. But अगर हम देखें, if we see that debentures are of 8%, bonds and 10%. But please remember that when the effective interest rate is given, we have to calculate the interest on that percentage only. So हम जो interest calculate करेंगे वो 8% पे calculate करेंगे. ये नहीं कि अलग अलग डिवेंचर्स का 8% पे, बॉन्ड्स का 10% पे ऐसे कैलकुलेट नहीं करेंगे. पर अगर क्वेश्चन में इफेक्टिव इंटरेस्ट रेट नहीं दिया हुआ होता तो उस सिचुएशन में हम उसको अलग अलग कर कैलकुलेट करते. मींस 125 को फिर उसका 8% निकालते और 50 को फिर उसको 10% से करते. इस तरीके से हम करते. पर हम अभी इस तरीके से नहीं करेंगे. क्यों? क्योंकि इफेक्टिव रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट हमारा दिया हुआ है. तो इन दोनों फिगर्स को ऐड करेंगे. 125 प्लस 70, जो टोटल डेट है हमारा कितना आ रहा है, डिबेंचर्स 125 और बॉन्ड्स 50, टोटल 175 आ रहा है. तो 175 को हम 8% से करेंगे. 175 को हम 8% से करेंगे. ओके, क्लियर. So effective interest rate, if it is given in the question, then this interest has to be calculated at this rate only. And if effective interest rate is not given, then rate of interest can be calculated by different interest rate. So effective interest rate का इसमें concept बहुत important था. Now let us calculate the interest. Interest, as I have just explained, interest is equal to the figures. Debenture 125 plus bonds 50 into 8%, that is of effective interest rate, which is 8%. Let us calculate it now. 175 into 8% is coming to 14. तो इंटरेस्ट रेट जो है वो 14 आया. Okay. Right now, any other things? I think any other things will be take care of while preparing the income statement. So let us now get to the preparation of the you can say income statement. I will give this ABC, okay, for the sake of clarity, because first point is on Roman 1. A, asset turnover ratio, we have calculated for sales figure, that is A point. Then B, we have calculated the operating cost, and C, we have calculated this interest rate. Now come to income statement. Okay. Sales, we have calculated. This is rupees in lakhs. Okay. So sales we have calculated above. This sales figure 660. 660 less operating cost. Operating cost is 594. We have just calculated in the working notes. Less 66. 66 is the operating profit. 666 is the operating profit. From operating profit, we deduct the interest expenses. Interest we have already calculated above, less 14. So it will be 52. 52 is the profit. It will be profit before tax. Profit after interest, but before tax. Less we will deduct the tax. Taxation rate is also given in the question. It is at the rate of 40%. Tax at the rate 40%. So let us calculate tax on 52. 52 into 40%, 20.8. So 31.2. So 31.20 is actually the profit after tax. Is actually the profit after tax. Now in the question, dividend payout ratio is given 16.67%. So we will deduct the dividend. Payout ratio is 16.67%. So 31.2 multiplied by 16.67% is 5.20. Dividend is 5.20. So if we deduct the profit after tax from the dividend, the net amount will be the retained earnings. तो प्रॉफिट में से जितना हिस्सा हमने डिविडेंड पे कर दिया वो रिटेन्ड अर्निंग हुआ. So retained earning is 26. So now our first aspect is completed. This is how the income statement has been prepared. Sales less operating cost. Sales figure we have calculated in the working notes. Operating cost and operating cost we have calculated in the working notes. So sales minus operating cost, it will be operating profit. Operating profit less interest, it will be profit before tax. Interest amount we have calculated that it will be calculated on the basis of effective interest rate, that is 8%. And 8% is calculated on the total debt, that is debenture 125 plus bonds 50. And from the profit before tax, tax is deducted to arrive at the profit after tax. From profit after tax, dividend is deducted to arrive at retained earnings. Now come to the second aspect of the question, which is actually calculation of sustainable growth rate. Calculation of sustainable growth rate. In our earlier question, we have seen that how growth rate can be calculated. So growth rate can be calculated by way of return on equity. Return on equity multiplied by the retention ratio. Multiplied by retention ratio. So whether retention ratio is given in the question, the answer is yes, because if dividend payout ratio is 16.67, then retention ratio will be 1 minus dividend payout ratio. So retention ratio is equal to 100 minus 16.67. So it is actually 83.33. So retention ratio is 83.33%. And now come to calculation of ROE, that is return on equity. So whether return on equity is given in the question, the return of equity is not given in the question. You have to calculate it. How to calculate it? Let us see the assignment again. Question again. See, from the figures, you can easily see that the return on equity is not given. So how to calculate it? Return on equity is equal to equity means net worth upon, it means return on equity, that is profit upon net worth. Profit upon net worth. Profit is given, but net worth means equity share capital plus reserves and surplus. So this figure, actually, this figure is the equity. This figure is the equity or net worth. This equity shares plus reserves and surplus. This figure is the equity or net worth. So this is actually 100 plus 300. The 400 is the net worth or equity. So again, let us come back to the solution. So return on equity is equal to this net worth upon, sorry, this profit upon net worth. So profit is 31.20 divided by 31.20 divided by net worth is 400. No, 100 plus 300. So let us calculate it. It's actually 7.8% return on equity. Multiplied by 100, it will be. It is coming to 7.8% sustainable, the return on equity. So now we have found the return. Now we have found the retention ratio, which is 83.33%, and retention ratio is 100 minus dividend payout ratio, so which is 33.33%. And ROE, return on equity, we have calculated profit upon net worth, which is 7.8%. Now apply the figures into the formula. Sustainable growth rate G is equal to return on equity, that is 7.8%, multiplied by the retention ratio, which is 83.33%. Actually coming to 6.5%. So sustainable growth rate is 6.5%. Sustainable growth rate is 6.5%. Okay, so in this way we have solved this question. Now come to the third part. Now come to the third part. Now get back to the assignment again. Third part is asking calculate the fair price of the company share using dividend discount model. So simply you have to calculate the present value. Now the present value, as I have said before, that if nothing is given in the question, then it is assumed that the company is inclined to declare dividend every year at a certain growth rate. Therefore, in this case, the Gordon's dividend discount model, constant dividend discount model will be used. So formula is, P0 is equal to D0 into 1 plus G upon KE minus G. So dividend, we have just arrived at 5.2, but it is in the lakhs. It is 5.22 lakhs, 5,20,000. So we have to get this figure on per share basis. Okay. So let us calculate D0 first. So D0 is equal to this 5,20,000 rupees, 5,20,000 upon the number of shares. Is the number of shares given in the question? Is the number of shares given in the question? The number of shares is given in the question. Let us get back to the assignment again. This question. See, equity shares 10 and the number of shares is actually 100. See, this portion 10 and this is 100. So this is 100 lakh. So 100 lakh upon 10, it will be 10 lakh. So number of shares will be actually 10 lakh. Upon 10 lakh shares. So it would basically will be approximately 5.52, I think. Let us calculate it. So it is 0.52. So D0 or present dividend is 0.52. So now put this figure into the formula. 0.52 into 1 plus growth rate, we have just calculated 6.5%. KE discount rate is given in the question. Required rate of return of investor 15% minus growth rate. Let us calculate it. Point 0.15. Let us solve the denominator portion. 0.15 minus 0.065. Let us solve this again. So it is 0.5538 divided by 0.085 is 6.52. Is 6.52. So this was the third part of the question. You have to calculate the present value. So how we have calculated? We have calculated all the figures, almost all the figures earlier. Dividend figure is given in the question. We have solved it, but it is given in the lakhs. So we have calculated it on the basis of per share basis. So 5,22,000 was the dividend, and we multiplied it by the number of shares. Number of shares we have calculated by the figures that has been given in the question. Then because that is in the question, the total capital, equity capital was 100 lakh, and the price of one equity share was 10 lakh. Okay. So we have calculated it. The total number of equity shares, it is 100 lakh, and we have divided by the rupees 100 lakh, we divided by rupees 10 each. So number of shares we have got is 10 lakh. Okay. So this will be 10 lakh shares. So we multiply the rupees 5,20,000 dividend amount by the 10 lakh shares. We get the dividend per share. 0.52 is the, this is dividend per share. We put the figures into the formula, we get the present value of the future cash flows in the form of dividend, that is 6.52. Now come to the fourth part of this question. It is asking what is your opinion on investment in the company share at current price? So current price is given 14. Current market price is equal to 14. And the present value is 6.52. Present value is 6.5. 6.5. So what will be your decision as an investor? Whether to, first of all, tell me whether it is the undervalued shares or it is an overvalued shares. The answer is it is an overvalued shares, because current market price per share, the current market price per share is more than the present value, or this present value is actually less than the current market price. Therefore, it is actually overvalued. Therefore, it is overvalued. And when the shares are overvalued, the decision is not to invest. Not to invest or sell. If you are holding it, then to sell it. Okay. So now come to the next question. Question number 7. Okay, let us read this question thoroughly. It is a slightly different type of question. This is basically, a question is not tough, but this is basically conceptual. So if you have understood what is being taught to you till now, you will be able to answer this question on your own also. Let us understand this question and also understand how to proceed. Then we will solve it. Mr. A is thinking of buying shares at 500 each, having face value of 100. Thinking of buying shares at 500 each, it means the current market value of the shares is 500. Current market price is 500. Face value is 100. He is expecting bonus shares at the ratio of 1:5 during the fourth year. 1:5 bonus issue means if there are 5 equity shares, then he will receive 1 bonus share. He will receive 1 bonus share. 1:5. Annual expected dividend is 20%. हर साल dividend 20% declare किया जा रहा है. And this rate is expected to be maintained on the expanded capital base also. Expanded capital base because जब 4th year में बोनस शेयर इशू हो गया तो ऑब्वियसली कैपिटल बढ़ेगा. तो कैपिटल जब बढ़ेगा तो उसके ऊपर भी जो डिविडेंड का परसेंटेज है 20%, उस पर भी 20% ही डिविडेंड जो है दिया जाएगा. He intends to sell the shares at the end of the 7th year at an expected price of rupees 900. And he wants to sell it at the end of the 7th year at rupees 900. Okay, and incidental expenses for purchase and sale of shares is 5%. परचेज और सेल दोनों पे एक्सपेंसेस है, इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस जो कि 5% है मार्केट प्राइस का. एंड मिनिमम रेट ऑफ रिटर्न इज 12%, दैट इज डिस्काउंट रेट इज 12%. सो you can whether you can calculate this question on the basis of a constant dividend growth rate model, the answer is no, because he is holding it for 7 years. So for every year, present value have to calculate it separately. Now the question is, should Mr. A buy the shares? For this purpose, you have to calculate the present value and calculate and compare it with the market price. Means पहले आपको intrinsic value calculate करना है, फिर उसको मार्केट प्राइस से कंपेयर करेंगे, फिर पता चलेगा कि एक्चुअली शेयर को खरीदना है कि नहीं खरीदना है. If so, what maximum price should he pay for each share? Maximum price he should pay for each share जो है वो एक्चुअली इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू ही होता है. क्यों? इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू क्या कहता है कि पर्टिकुलर जो वैल्यू है वो फ्यूचर में इतना होगा. फॉर एग्जाम्पल अगर इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू अगर हमारा फॉर एग्जाम्पल 500 है तो उसका मतलब फ्यूचर में पूरे चांसेस हैं कि शेयर के प्राइसेस 500 होंगे. सो यही मैक्सिमम प्राइस होगा जिसपे कि शेयर होल्डर खरीदना चाहेगा, इसके ऊपर नहीं खरीदना चाहेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि पूरी उम्मीद है कि फ्यूचर में जो है प्राइस 500 तक जाएगी, इससे ऊपर जाने की उम्मीद कम है. तो इतना प्राइस ही वो मैक्सिमम शेयर होल्डर पे करना चाहेगा. तो वही कह रहा है कि व्हाट मैक्सिमम प्राइस शुड ही पे फॉर द शेयर. वो एक्चुअली इंसिडेंटल वो इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू या प्रेजेंट वैल्यू ही होता है. पर हमें इस केस में इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस भी देखने हैं. वो जब हम क्वेश्चन को करेंगे तो ये चीज और क्लियर होगा. एज्यूम नो टैक्स, कोई टैक्स एज्यूम नहीं करना है, डिविडेंड इनकम और कैपिटल गेन. सो नाउ वी हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस क्वेश्चन. लेट अस बिगिन सॉल्विंग दिस क्वेश्चन. Present value factor at the rate. What is the discount rate? Discount rate 12%. It is given in the question. And then present value. Okay. So we have to calculate it for the how many years? 7 years. Now, dividend is no figure of dividend is given in the question, but you can very well calculate the amount of dividend from whatever is given, whatever information is there in the question. Here in the question, if you see, it is given that face value is rupees 100. Let us see this question again. The face value is 100. The face value is 100 and the dividend is expected dividend is 20%. So always, as you know, the dividend is calculated on the face value. So it will be 100 into 20%. So dividend will be rupees 20. So it will be rupees 20 if one share is held. So we, for the sake of, like you can say, simplicity in solving the question, let us assume that Mr. A is holding one share. So if he is holding one share, here we can calculate the working notes. Face value is 100. Dividend percentage is 20%. So dividend amount will be 100 into 20%. Equal to rupees 20. If he is holding one share. For one share. क्यों? क्योंकि एक शेयर की कीमत 100 रुपीज है, तो अगर एक शेयर वो होल्ड करेगा तो उसको 20 रुपीज डिविडेंड मिलेगा. Second year also 20, third year also 20. But now come to the fourth year. In the fourth year, it is given in the question that in the fourth year, let's just see. In the fourth year, it is given that the bonus at the rate of 1.5, 1:5. Bonus at the rate of 1:5 during the fourth year will be given. You have seen that if there are 5 equity shares, 1 bonus shares. Okay. So for one share, how dividend will be calculated? For one share, dividend is rupees 20. Now what will be present shares, bonus shares? If he is holding 5 shares, then he is getting one bonus shares. It is given in the question 1:5 means अगर वो 5 shares hold कर रहा है तो 1 bonus shares मिलेगा. अगर वो 1 share hold करता है तो कितने bonus shares मिलेंगे? 1/5 into 1. Basically it is 0.2, I think. It is 0.2. इतने बोनस शेयर्स मिलेंगे 1 शेयर पे. सो नाउ टोटल बोनस इश्यू, टोटल शेयर्स कितने हो गए? 1 एग्जिस्टिंग थे, 0.2 बोनस में मिला, तो टोटल कितना हो गया? 1.2. सो 1 शेयर पे कितना डिविडेंड मिला? ₹20. तो 1.2 शेयर पे कितना डिविडेंड मिलेगा? It will be 20 into 1.2, which is 24 rupees. Okay, so you have understood how this dividend is calculated for the fourth year. Now, fourth year, fifth year 24, sixth year 24, seventh year also it is 24. But in the seventh year, the investor, Mr. E, is expected to sell these shares at rupees 900. वो 900 पे इसको बेचना चाहता है. तो seventh year इसकी भी present value calculate होगी. So it will be 900 into 1.2. क्योंकि जब बेच रहा है तब उसके पास शेयर 1 नहीं है, 1.2 है. Therefore 900 into 1.2 into incidental expenses, उसके expenses भी है तो उसको भी वो माइनस करेगा 0.95, that is 95%, क्योंकि 5% expenses है. So it will be 900 into 1.2 into 0.95, 1026. 1026. Now we have calculated all the figures, dividend figures as well as sales figure. Let us multiply it by the present value factor or the discounting factor to arrive at the present value. At 12%, let us calculate it. PV factor. I think for first year it is 0.893. For second year it is 0.797. For third year is 0.712. For fourth year it is 0.636. For fifth year it is 0.567. For sixth year, it is 0.507. For seventh year, it is 0.452. Now we have calculated the present value factor. Let us multiply this present value factor with the dividend or the selling price at the end of the seventh year. Okay. 20 into 0.797 is 15.94. Third year, 20 into 0.712, 14.24. Calculate it for fourth year. 24 multiplied by 0.636, 15.26. For the fifth year, let us calculate it for the fifth year, 0.567, 13.61. Calculate for the sixth year, 24 multiplied by 0.507, 12.17. 24 into, let us calculate for the seventh year, 0.452, 10.85, and calculate it for a seventh year, that is the sales figure, into 0.25 is 463.75. Let us add all these figures. Is coming to 563.68. 563.68. So this is actually the present value. What is the question asked? Whether you should buy the shares or not. So for this, we will deduct the purchase price. Purchase price, it is given in the question. Purchase price is 500. Present purchase market price 500. That is into, but 500 when the one is selling, it will include the incidental expenses also. तो उसमें परचेज प्राइस में जो है आपको इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस भी कवर होंगे. तो परचेज प्राइस ही नहीं है, जो परचेज जिससे परचेज कर रहा है वो इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस को भी इंक्लूड करके देगा. सो इट विल बी 500 into 105%, including the incidental expenses. So it will be 500 into 105%. That is 525. So this net gain will be is 38.68. Is coming to 38.68. So whether should buy the shares or not? The answer is, what is the current market price? present value is 563. The present value is greater than the current market price. So whether she should buy the shares, the answer is yes. The answer is yes, buy. Buy. Because this present value or intrinsic value is greater than the current market price per share. Is greater than the current market price share. So these shares are undervalued. These shares are undervalued and अंडरवैल्यूड मीन इनके वैल्यू जो है पीछे बढ़ने वाले हैं, दैट इज इट शुड बी बाय. क्योंकि इसमें प्रेजेंट वैल्यू जो है 563.68, परचेज प्राइस 525 से ज्यादा है, देयरफॉर करंट मार्केट प्राइस से ज्यादा है, देयरफॉर ये शेयर्स अंडर वैल्यूड है और इसको बाय करना चाहिए. अंडर वैल्यूड क्यों? क्योंकि फ्यूचर में इसके प्राइस बढ़ने वाले हैं. प्रेजेंट वैल्यू इंटरेस्टिंग वैल्यू कॉन्सेप्ट क्या है? क्योंकि फ्यूचर में इसके प्राइस 563.68 पूरे चांसेस हैं कि शेयर की जो प्राइस है उस फ्यूचर में 563.68 हो जाएंगे, जबकि प्रेजेंट प्राइस 525 है. तो 525 पे अगर हम खरीदेंगे तो फ्यूचर में इसको 563.68 पे बेच सकते हैं, तो हमें प्रॉफिट होगा. देयरफॉर इसको खरीदना चाहिए. अंडर वैल्यूड है, फ्यूचर में इसकी वैल्यू बढ़ने वाली है. Now the last part of the question, what it says that what maximum price should he pay for each shares? जनरली इंट्रिंसिक वैल्यू होता है क्योंकि मैक्सिमम प्राइस वही वो देना चाहेगा. मैक्सिमम प्राइस मींस किस प्राइस पे खरीदना चाहेगा, वो मैक्सिमम यही प्राइस पे खरीदना चाहेगा, 563.68 पे, इसी पे खरीदना चाहेगा. क्योंकि ये जो है फ्यूचर में प्राइस 563.68 होने के चांसेस है. शेयर के प्राइस जो है 563.68 पे पहुंचने के चांसेस हैं. अभी 525 है तो वो बढ़ सकता है, 563.68 तक पहुंच सकता है. तो यही प्राइस है जो कि इन्वेस्टर मैक्सिमम पे करना चाहेगा, इससे ऊपर पे नहीं करना चाहेगा. बट इसमें एक चीज और है, इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस. तो इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस जो है वो इन्वेस्टर के लिए एक्सपेंसेस है, वो एक्सपेंसेस क्यों पे करेगा? तो वो इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंसेस को वो जब परचेज करेगा तो वो लेस कर लेगा. Which investor should be willing to pay is equal to 563.68, जो कि हमने प्रेजेंट वैल्यू निकाला, 563.68 इंटू 100 इंसिडेंटल एक्सपेंस को माइनस करके. So it is coming to 536.83, 536.84 in fact, 536.84. So this is the maximum price which the investor would be willing to pay. So this is how this question is solved. So हमने इस क्वेश्चन को कैसे अप्रोच किया? हमने डिविडेंड निकाला जो कि 20 रुपीज हर साल का. हमने ये जूम किया कि वो एक शेयर होल्ड करके रखा हुआ है, तो एक शेयर पे वो 20 रुपीज डिविडेंड होगा, क्योंकि एक एक शेयर की कीमत वो 100 रुपीज है. तो 100 का 20% डिविडेंड परसेंटेज, तो डिविडेंड 20 होगा. थर्ड ईयर तक 20 है, फोर्थ ईयर में वो 24 हो जाएगा, क्योंकि शेयर जो है बढ़ के 1 से 1.2 हो जाएंगे. क्योंकि अगर 5 शेयर पे अगर उसको एक बोनस मिलता है तो एक शेयर पे 0.2 मिलेगा, तो उसके शेयर हो जाएंगे 1 प्लस 0.2 1.2. तो वन अगर 1 शेयर पे उसके डिविडेंड 20 रुपीज होगा तो 1.2 शेयर पे 24 होगा, क्योंकि हमने इस वर्किंग नोट्स पे इस पे कैलकुलेट करके इस चीज को हमने एक्सप्लेन भी किया है. एक शेयर पे अगर रुपीज 20 डिविडेंड होगा तो 1.2 शेयर पे वो 24 रुपीज होगा। और बोनस शेयर भी कैसे निकलेगा ये भी नहीं देखा कि 5 शेयर पे एक बोनस शेयर है, तो 1 शेयर पे 1/5 1.2 बोनस शेयर। तो पहले 1 शेयर थे प्लस 0.2 बोनस शेयर अभी हुए, तो टोटल शेयर 1. तो एक शेयर पे ₹20 डिविडेंड, तो 1.2 शेयर पे 25. So all these figures we have calculated. Last year selling price, he is selling at ₹900, वो 900 पे बेचना चाह रहा है, पर 900 वो जब बेचेगा तो तब उसके शेयर 1.2 होंगे, तो 900 into 1.2 into 0.95 because of 5% incidental expenses. So total sales figure is this coming to 1026. All these figures are multiplied by the present value factor to arrive at the present value. So present value is coming is 563.68, and it will be deducted from the purchase price 525 to arrive at the net gain, which is 38.68. So since the present value is greater than the current market price, shares are undervalued, and the decision should be to buy the shares. And what is the maximum price he should pay? Mr. A should pay. The maximum price Mr. A should pay is the this present value into 100/105, because जितना भी वो पे करेगा उसमें से incidental expenses वो लेस करके पे करेगा. That is why it is 100/100. Okay. Now coming to this last question of this assignment. It is based upon the valuation of right shares. I have taken a brief example on how to value this right shares. Let us take this question and try to understand it first, and then we will solve it. Let us see what is given in the question. ABC Limited shares are currently selling at 13 per share. Okay. So, and there are 10,000 shares outstanding. Outstanding shares are 10 lakh, and current market price is 13. The firm is planning to raise 20 lakh, obviously raising 20 lakh through issue of right shares. So you have to calculate the X right price and the value of right. In the first situation, if the firm offers one right share for two shareholders, अगर जो कंपनी ऑफर कर रही है two right shares for one right share for two share, में अगर two share सेल करके रखा है तो one right मिल रहा है, two shares पे one right share मिल रहा है. ओके, सो सबसे पहले हम फर्स्ट सिचुएशन को देखते हैं. लेट अस कैलकुलेट द फर्स्ट सिचुएशन फर्स्ट. This is the assignment of question number 8. First question. Calculation of X right price. So X right price is basically calculated with the formula NP0 plus S divided by N plus N1. So this formula is given in the study material also, and it can be solved logically without the help of the formula also. But since it's given in the study material, I am solving this with the help of the formula. So, and what, let us understand what should be the X right price. X right price means the price after the right issue. So after the right issue price will include the total market value of the existing shares plus the total market value of the right shares, and divided by the total number of shares, means existing shares plus right shares. Now let us solve this. This N is equal to number of existing shares. Number of existing shares. And one is number of right shares. P0 is current market price. And S is the subscription value. Subscription value of right shares. So let us put the value into the formula. X right price is equal to NP0. Means, first of all, we will multiply the existing share. What is the existing share? 10 lakh shares multiplied by the current market price, which is given in the question. It is 13 rupees 13 plus the subscription value of right shares. What is the price of right issue? What is the price of right shares? What is the total amount which the company is planning to raise by way of right issue? It is 20 lakh. Divided by the okay. Now another aspect. Company is planning to issue one for 2 shares, one right share is issued. It is given in the question, 2:1. For 2 existing shares, one right share is issued. So, for 10 lakh existing shares, how many shares will be issued? 50%. That is rupees 5 lakh. Rupees 5 lakh right shares. Okay. So what will the price of the right shares? It will be total market value upon the right shares. So 20 upon 5 lakh is equal to 4. That is rupees 4. The price of right share is rupees 4. So by way of simple calculation, we have calculated for 2 shares, 1 right shares. For 10 lakh shares, 5 lakh right shares. Total market value of the right share, total amount which shall be issued by the company by way of right issue is 20 lakh. Number of shares, 5 lakh. So 20 lakh divided by 5 lakh is 4. So the price of one right share is rupees 4. So subscription value will be either 20 lakh or it can be written as 5 lakh shares, 5 lakh right shares multiplied by rupees 4 divided by n plus n1 means total number of shares. Existing shares 10 lakh and number of right shares 5 lakh. We have just calculated it. Okay. Now again calculate it. 10 lakh into 13, 1 crore 30 lakh plus 5 lakh into 4, 20 lakh divided by 10 lakh plus 5 lakh, 15 lakh shares. So it will rupees 1 crore 30 lakh plus rupees 20 lakh upon 15 lakh shares. So it will be 1 crore 50 lakh divided by 15 lakh shares. So it is coming to 10. It's coming to 10. So the X right price is rupees 10. So logically भी इसको आप solve कर सकते हैं क्योंकि X right price है कि total जो value है right share issue करने के बाद है तो इसमें total value right shares issue करने के बाद क्या होगी जो कंपनी के total shares होंगे उसको market price से multiply करेंगे जो right shares होंगे उसको right price से multiply करेंगे divide करेंगे total number of shares means existing equity shares कितने हैं plus existing right shares कितने हैं उसी तरह से इस क्वेश्चन को भी सॉल्व किया गया है. Okay. This is the X right price. Now we have to calculate the value also. Value of right share. तो वैल्यू ऑफ राइट शेयर का फॉर्मूला होता है, कैसे निकालते हैं इसको, एक्स राइट प्राइस माइनस सब्सक्रिप्शन प्राइस. एक्स राइट प्राइस माइनस सब्सक्रिप्शन प्राइस. एक्स राइट प्राइस हमने वैसे ही कैलकुलेट किया, ₹10, और राइट प्राइस भी हमने अभी कैलकुलेट किया, ₹4. तो ये आएगा ₹6. तो वैल्यू ऑफ राइट जो है ₹6 एंड एक्स राइट प्राइस इज ₹10. Now come to the second situation. What is the second situation is saying that the firm offers one right share for every 4 share held. इसका मतलब है 4 शेयर मिल रहे हैं, 4 शेयर जिन्होंने होल्ड करके रखा है उसको एक राइट शेयर मिल रहा है. तो आप इस सिचुएशन को कैसे सॉल्व करेंगे? अगेन 1:4 पे राइट इश्यू किया जा रहा है. 4 shares. If one is holding 4 shares, he is getting 1 right share. So if he is holding 10 lakh shares, so for 10 lakh shares, what will be the number of right shares? It will be 10 lakh shares divided by 4. So it will be 2,50,000 shares. It will be 2,50,000 shares. Now calculate the X right price. Again, X right price NP0 plus S upon N plus N1. ये क्या है? ये है N means total number of equity shares multiplied by the existing market price of the equity shares plus subscription price जो कि 20 lakh है, and total number of equity shares which is 10 lakh and total number of right shares which have just calculated 2,50,000. But before that we have to calculate the number of price of the right issue, because price of one right share is equal to it will be 20 lakh divided by the number of shares, because this is the total market total right share value divided by the number of shares. So we will get the right price. It's coming to 8. So value of one right share is ₹8. Now put the figures into the formula, and P0 in the same way 10 lakh outstanding equity shares multiplied by ₹13, which is the price of one equity shares. We will add the value of right shares, which is 2,50,000 shares. 2,50,000 shares multiplied by ₹8 divided by N plus N1, total number of equity shares 10 lakh and total number of right shares which is 2,50,000. We have just calculated it. Now the same way it will be 1 crore 50 lakhs divided by 12,50,000. Is coming to rupees 12. It is coming to rupees 12. So X right price is rupees 12. Now, value of right. Value of right is equal to same formula, X right price minus subscription price is equal to X right price. We just calculated 12 minus 8 is equal to rupees 4. So this is the value of right. So in this two situation, we have calculated the X right price and we have calculated the value of right. Now, come to the last aspect of this question, which says, how does the shareholders' wealth change from 1 to 2? How does right issue increase shareholders' wealth? दोनों सिचुएशन में अगर एक शेयर पे 2 राइट शेयर इशू करती है कंपनी, या एक शेयर पे 4 राइट शेयर इशू करती है, इन दोनों सिचुएशन में क्या कंपनी जो शेयर होल्डर का वेल्थ है वो क्या इंक्रीज होता है? तो लेट अस सी. Effect of right issue on shareholders' wealth. Okay. Effect of right issue on the shareholders' wealth. First situation, when firm offers one right share for 2 shares held. First situation, let us take the first situation when the firm offers one right share for 2 shares held. So what will be its effect on the wealth of the shareholders? उसकी wealth क्या होगी इस particular situation में? So value of shares after right issue, na? After right issue. Let us suppose investor is holding 100 shares. Suppose करते investor 100 share ने hold करके रखा है, then valuation of shares after right issue will be will be 150 into फर्स्ट सिचुएशन में क्या है इसका 10. एक्स राइट प्राइस क्या है 10. So 150 into rupees 10, it will be 1,500. Okay. So what we are taking the first situation, that when firm offers one right share for 2 shares held, 2 शेयर के बदले में एक राइट शेयर मिलता है. हम सपोज कर रहे हैं कि एज एन इन्वेस्टर आपने 100 शेयर्स होल्ड करके रखे हैं. अगर आपके पास 100 शेयर हैं तो आपको कितने राइट शेयर्स मिलेंगे? अगर 2:1 मिलता है, पॉलिसी कंपनी फॉलो करती है, तो आपको 50 शेयर्स मिलेंगे। कि 2 शेयर्स के बदले में एक राइट शेयर, तो 100 शेयर्स के बदले में 50 शेयर्स। तो राइट इशू के बाद आपके कितने शेयर्स हो गए? 100 + 50 इज इक्वल टू 150। और राइट इशू के बाद शेयर्स की वो क्या है, प्राइस क्या है? 10 रुपीज। 150 × 10, दिस इज 1500। दिस इज द वैल्यू ऑफ शेयर्स आफ्टर राइट इशू। बट इसमें से परचेस प्राइस भी तो है, तो कितना वेल्थ का गेन हो रहा है, नेट वेल्थ कितना हो रहा है, उसको निकालने के लिए पहले जो राइट शेयर्स परचेस किया उसको भी लेस करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि प्रॉफिट निकालने के लिए कॉस्ट एक्सपेंस को लेस करना पड़ता है। उसी तरीके से जितने वैल्यू पे राइट शेयर्स परचेस किए हैं उसको लेस करना पड़ेगा। तो लेस अमाउंट पे टू बाय राइट शेयर्स, amount paid to buy right shares, it will be 150 shares. Amount paid to buy right shares, sorry, buy right shares कितने खरीदे? 50 शेयर्स। एंड राइट शेयर्स की प्राइस कितने हैं फर्स्ट सिचुएशन में, 2:1 के सिचुएशन में? द प्राइस इज दिस, ₹4। ओके, तो कितने पे राइट इशू खरीदे? अगर उसके पास 100 शेयर्स थे तो उसने राइट इशू कितने पे खरीदे? 50 शेयर्स इंटू ₹4। 50 × 4 दैट इज 200। तो उसकी नेटवर्थ कितनी हुई? 1300। अब लेते हैं सेकंड सिचुएशन। व्हेन फर्म ऑफर्स 1 राइट शेयर फॉर 4 शेयर्स हेल्ड। सेकंड सिचुएशन क्या है कि कंपनी एक राइट शेयर दे रही है 4 शेयर के बदले में। मतलब अगर आपके पास 4 शेयर हैं तो कंपनी एक राइट शेयर उसको देगी। तो वैल्यू ऑफ शेयर्स आफ्टर राइट इशू ये हो जाएगा, आप कितने शेयर्स हैं सेकंड सिचुएशन में? अगर 100 एग्जिस्टिंग शेयर्स हैं तो 25 होंगे, क्योंकि अगर 4 शेयर पे एक राइट इशू मिल रहा है तो 100 शेयर्स पे कितने मिलेंगे? एक पे अगर 4 मिल रहा है तो 100 पे मिलेंगे 100/4 इज इक्वल टू 25 शेयर्स मिलेंगे। ओके, सो टोटल कितने शेयर्स हो जाएंगे? 125, 100 प्लस 25 राइट शेयर्स 125 हो जाएंगे। तो इट विल बी 125 शेयर्स इंटू रुपीस, दिस इज द प्राइस इन द सेकंड सिचुएशन, एक्स राइट प्राइस, इट इज 12, इट इज 12। तो 125 इंटू ₹12 is amounting to 1500 less। तो राइट इशू अगर आपने 100 शेयर्स होल्ड करके रखे हैं तो राइट इशू के बाद आपकी जो वैल्यू है वो 1500 है। पर इसमें से आपने राइट शेयर्स भी परचेज किए हैं, तो परचेज प्राइस को लेस करके उसके बाद ही आपका नेट वेल्थ निकलेगा कि आपका नेट वेल्थ कितना रह जाएगा राइट इशू परचेज करने के बाद। तो इसमें से क्या लेस करेंगे? अमाउंट पेड टू बाय राइट शेयर्स। तो ये कितना हो जाएगा? ये हो जाएगा, राइट शेयर्स कितने थे आपके पास? 25 शेयर्स, 25 शेयर्स इंटू रुपीस। राइट शेयर की प्राइस कितनी थी? हमने सेकंड सिचुएशन में कैलकुलेट की, प्राइस थी ₹8। ₹8 प्राइस थी। एक राइट शेयर की कीमत ₹8 है, तो 25 शेयर इंटू ₹8, 25 × 8, दिस इज 200। सो दिस नेट वेल्थ विल बी 1300। नाउ इफ in the third aspect बिफोर राइट इशू, राइट इशू के पहले क्या वेल्थ थी शेयर होल्डर की? कितने शेयर हल्के के रखे थे? 100। हमने ये अज्यूम किया 100 शेयर्स इनटू कितनी थी मार्केट प्राइस? 13। इस क्वेश्चन में दिया हुआ है 1300। सो सारे सिचुएशन में वेल्थ जो है बराबर ही रहेगी। मतलब राइट इशू के पहले भी 1300 थी वेल्थ, 1300 वेल्थ थी। अगर 4:1 का भी कंपनी फॉलो करती है तो वेल्थ 1300 होगा। अगर 2:1 भी फॉलो करती है तभी 1300 ही होगा। तो ऑल द सिचुएशन when right shares are issued at 2:1, then wealth will be 1300. When firm offers 1:4 ratio, 4:1 ratio, then the wealth will be 1300. And if the shares before the right issue also, the shareholders wealth was 1300, क्योंकि हमने सपोज किया कि 100 शेयर्स उसके पास थे, मार्केट प्राइस 13 है, उसकी वेल्थ 1300 है। तो राइट इशू के पहले भी उसकी वेल्थ 1300 थी, राइट इशू के बाद भी उसकी वेल्थ 1300 है। भले 4:1 के रेशियो पे कंपनी राइट शेयर इशू करे या 2:1 के रेशियो पे कंपनी राइट शेयर इशू करे, सारे सिचुएशन में वो सेम ही रहेंगे। तो ये है पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चन, क्वेश्चन नंबर आपका लास्ट क्वेश्चन, क्योंकि हमने इस तरह से इसको सॉल्व किया। सो आई होप यू हैव अंडरस्टूड दिस। Even if you find doubt is in any of this aspect, please write to us. You can mail to us also, and you can also ask in the doubt clearing session also these questions. But as always in the PPT also I have shared the email ID, that is sfm-final at icai.in, and the phone number I have also shared 0120 that is 3045 and 956. So just try to solve this question again on your own. If you find difficulty in any of this aspect, if you want further clarification in any of these things, then you can clear it during my doubt clearing session. So thank you so much, students. Thank you for your patient listening. Thank you.